What's going on, everyone, man? This is probably the greatest video I've ever seen in my life, and I haven't even made it yet. That's how amazing I know this video is going to be. But before I get too deep in it, I want to say I am doing an iPhone SE giveaway. I'm giving away 4 of them. If you want to know how to enter, click the second link down in the description. It'll take you to a video. Watch that video and you will be fully entered into the giveaway, okay? So I'm not going to explain it here. Watch that video, do it, everything's good. But man, this is more of a throwback look. I feel like I did one of these last year, the year before, but I went and bought an iPhone SE, another one, so I can do iOS comparisons between another SE that's on iOS 13. I didn't feel like editing those videos over and over again, but I ended up buying this one, and this one is actually on iOS 9.3.3, I think. A super early version of iOS. This thing came out forever ago, and honestly, I'm just super happy that I'm able to even look back and reminisce on it, because if you guys remember, even if you're a long-time reviewer of this channel, I bought an iPhone forever ago, but one of the main ones I used to use all the time, my first one really, was the iPhone 6 Plus, and I made tons of reviews on that, tons of videos, and one of the first iOS reviews that I did was actually on iOS 9, and it was for the 5S, which is a totally different phone, but I did that, and that really sparked me creating these iOS reviews, and look where we're at now. It's pretty crazy. So I kind of want to go back, reminisce, see what, all has changed. I also have another iPhone SE that's on iOS 13. So we can go ahead and take a look at them. There's a lot of difference between this one and this one. So we're just going to go ahead and see, man. This is pretty crazy. Now, obviously, the first crazy thing is obviously when you boot it up for the first time, you can see we have that slide to unlock, which we don't have anymore. So you can go ahead and slide to unlock it. And I like how the screen fades in and fades out. I feel like that looks a lot better. And if we go to the right, you can see we can go into the camera, or actually we don't even swipe. We actually have to lift up. I forgot. So as you can see, once you lift up, you can get into the camera, which honestly not much has changed with the camera app, which is super sad. This version of iOS was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago maybe. How is it still not that much changed? And I feel like this one looks better than that one. So that's pretty shameful right there for Apple. And hopefully Apple can go and fix that. But as you saw, we actually just got a new, well, this is the older, animation pan that we had before, the new iOS 13 versions and all that stuff. So when we go into an app like Safari, you can see it builds into the screen, and when we hop out, you can see it goes back into the app. I feel like that's not what we have anymore. This is what we have on iOS 13. If we go into it, you can see, I think this one definitely looks, it's the same process, but it looks way more better and smoother on here versus on the iOS 9 device. You can see maybe it's faster on here, I actually don't know. But one of the coolest things, and honestly one of the things I missed a lot on iOS 9, was actually the control center. And when you swipe up, you can see we have a lot of functionality here. We have a lot of functionality down here. We have music. We have a lot of different things. But on iOS 10, they actually went and removed it. So before we had it on one pan, on iOS 10 we had it on 2 pans. So we had to be here for certain brightness and stuff, but then we swiped left or right, whatever, to change the music there, which is super annoying. I literally hated that so much, but luckily they did change it back with iOS 11. But one of the biggest things I missed with older versions of iOS, including iOS 10, is that we had the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi functionality fully turn on and off Bluetooth and Wi-Fi instead of what we have now, where it temporarily disables it, which is kind of annoying. I wish they didn't do it like that. I wish they gave us the option, but at least, we can do that within settings. But now we have the ability to actually change the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth within the settings. So as you can see, we can force touch or just haptic feedback into it, and we can actually change the Wi-Fi within here, which is awesome. We don't have the functionality with iOS 9, as you might have already expected. But it's really whatever, honestly. You can always go into settings. You can maneuver with the volume there, and honestly, it's some really cool stuff we have right there, man. And in terms of the apps, we have almost all the same apps. If you swipe down, you can get into the search bar. If you swipe to the left, you can also get into the search bar, so I don't really understand that too much. One thing I wanted to test, though, was actually with the App Store. So if we go into the App Store, you can see it looks almost the same, but there's a few differences here and there. I went to download Temple Run, and I was able to download it successfully, which I'm surprised at. I didn't know how many apps were able to be downloaded or was compatible with iOS 9 at this day and age. But I was able to download it, and surprisingly it works, as you might not already expect. It's not even that old of a version of iOS. You still have the annoying Game Center pop-ups that come up every single day, which is so annoying. But in terms of functionality and speed and everything, it should be pretty good. I think the iPhone 5 was really good at iOS 9. Then with iOS 10, it made it even better. But the iPhone 4S was not so good with iOS 9. It really messed it up a little bit. But it's really not that big of a deal, honestly, either. As you can see, Temple Run was one of the biggest games I used to play back in the day. I still do. I had a lot of Temple Run reviews back then where I was just testing this game, because at the time, this was one of the most intensive games, even 3 or 4 years ago. And that's obviously a stupid thing I just said, because it wasn't, but I thought it was. So hop out of that, you can get in there. And another thing is in the multitasking. You can see, obviously it's almost the same thing, but now the apps actually go into the screen itself. But now, and you didn't see the home screen before, but as you can see with iOS 9, they kept the home screen. I think with iOS 10, they did the same thing too, but with iOS 11, they made it a little bit different, I believe. In the music app, it looks almost exactly the same as what we have now. A lot of these apps almost look identical to what we have now, and Even with iMessage, it's almost the same thing. And you might think like, oh, well, iOS 9 was so recent, it's not even that old, but it kind of is at the end of the day. I mean, here we don't even have the iCloud settings up here. You can go to general, you can go to software update. You can see I have my iOS 12 update. iOS 13 is not officially out yet, but inside display and brightness, you have all these different settings. I'm going to turn on auto brightness. And you still have all the functionality, and honestly, comparing iOS 13 to iOS 9 is something that I really want to do because they're the same phones. I have the iOS 13 on here, but I want to see, is iOS 9 faster? Is this faster? Is iOS 13 faster? Who knows, man? I feel like iOS 13 is probably faster, but I've been wrong before, and I'm just curious to see how it is, man. But ultimately, I love looking back at these devices, these older ones, and even talking about older software. I feel like there's so much we can gain from looking at, this iPhone versus the other iPhones. Obviously, we have the notification drawer, status bar. This was back then when we still had these stocks and all this stuff. And honestly, dude, I miss this. This was such a cool little thing. We had our news, we had our calendar, we had so much information. I understand why they took this out. I mean, now we have like our widgets where we can get to the side, but I feel like that one just looked a little bit better. Like I said, we have this here now, but I feel like this one just looks a lot more premium in my opinion. And back then when I envisioned an iPhone, I always saw this and I was like, man, that is an iPhone. That's something that I was jealous when I had an Android at the time. So that's really all I want to hit on, man. I love iOS. I love iOS 9. I love the iPhone SE, man. And just imagine how far we've came in some cases. And some other cases, man, we haven't really gone that far at all. Like the camera, like I said. So hopefully Apple can make some strides in there eventually. But man, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section as well. Hit that like button, that would mean so much. Definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really discount, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate it if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.